Well, I don't want to keep you any longer, but I really do appreciate your time. And I hope that you won't be a stranger here and we can talk again sometime as news comes up. Is there anything you'd like to add about
Yeah, just
foundation
briefly,
issue?
it's like just to reiterate to the community, nothing has materially changed. We just published a letter just to let the community know that we support them as much as the Guardians do, and we're going to try to make sure that everything works out. And if the foundation can't do it, we'll do it. And if the foundation resurrects itself and can actually do it, that's all the better for us. And to the mid-levels at the Cardano Foundation, we liked working with them. And if they'd like to leave the foundation, come to IOHK and keep doing the same job that they were doing, we'll have jobs waiting for them. So that's an open call to them. Uh, but I still believe our best days are ahead of us. I mean, the tech we have, the processes we have, the things we've learned over this year is extraordinary. I mean, in most projects, they pick one big thing to go and do. And we picked like a dozen big things, and we've made meaningful, massive progress on all of those things, from things like our sidechains protocol to our proof of stake to PL theory. We've written 2 programming languages, and they're good ones.
Mm-hmm.
We built an entirely new operating environment for smart contracts with Yella. We figured out how to do formal methods with cryptocurrency development. The wallet backend that we're launching with 1.4 is the first example of that, but now all of our engineering is pivoting in that way. We've launched 2 testnets with KEVM and the Yella testnet, and the backends were created straight from semantics using the K framework. We rewrote the entire K framework with our runtime verification. So there's just so much progress. We even had a slew of papers we funded that were co-funded with DARPA and U.S. Army Research on sharding and state channels and incentives. We developed a whole treasury system out of Lancaster University. As I mentioned, the MPC research, I think we got 4 papers on that now. Like almost every 2 months, we have a new paper or 2 coming out, and we get to the point where we actually can implement those papers and bring them in. And we have a whole formal methods team at IOHK. I think it's 7 or 8 people now, led by Philip Kant. He's a physicist out of Germany, and they're writing 70-page specs. Like our delegation spec is over 70 pages long.
Mm-hmm.
So it seems slow from the outside, and it's painful from the outside saying, well, why aren't you guys moving as fast as this one project doing this one thing? And we're saying, guys, it's all interconnected. You can
Mm-hmm.
deploy, we built a whole copy of Ethereum with the Mantis client and Scala. It's 15,000 lines of code. It used Scala check. It's the first Ethereum client verified with property-based testing, quick check-based testing. I think 80+% coverage of the code with tests. And it's running the whole Ethereum Classic network. You can deploy Ethereum Classic full node with it, and actually it's soon going to have Ethereum support. So we wrote that whole thing with a small team of just 7 people. It's not hard to ship something. Shipping something that's useful, upgradable, meaningful, and it's going to be around a decade, 2 decades, 3 decades, and it's actually capable of growing to overcome the incumbents and has a good philosophy and experience behind it. That's very hard to do. So my whole point was, let's get some liquidity. Let's get all these governance issues ironed out. Let's get a great community built up and find a way to work effectively with that community. Then let's get the big thing out and then gradually grow. And we're already starting to see fruit there. Like with our consensus protocol, we're going to be 50 times more decentralized at launch than EOS will be, over 100 times more decentralized than Bitcoin will be. That's a major win as a result of 3 years worth of research that was done. And the system will just work beautifully. So you add that with the side chains, with the multi-computational models, with the extended UTXO model that we're, I think, the first to launch with Marlowe, the first financial DSL that's open source in our ecosystem. You add that with what we're going to be doing for governance. I think we're just going to be a behemoth in 2019. So our best days are ahead of us. Don't worry, guys. There's good people wake up every day on this. There's hundreds of them. And the community itself, as evidenced by the Guardian group, is very vigilant, and they're very passionate. In fact, when I wrote the open letter with Emergo, we released it. We already found a Chinese and a Korean translation of that letter. And they translated less than 12 hours. We didn't pay for it. The community just went and translated it. We had our Korean guys look at it and say, the translation's great. Chinese guys looked at it, translation's great. So when you have a community this strong and this passionate and this engaged, you can't really kill something like this. It's just going to keep going.